Alright, this video is about cleaning up some old plastic. This customer brought in this TTR plastic, and first of all, this is a little unacceptable when you want us to install. This is going to require a little extra cost for cleaning. But right now this video will focus on preparing a plastic that has a bunch of scuff and gouges. It's a little hard to see. I'm going to try and get the camera to focus. Hopefully it will. Put my thumb there. Maybe it'll focus. Who knows what you'll know. But right here is a big gouge. Looks like something sharp came across it, probably a toolbox or another peg. And then there's all these deep grooves along the edge. The rest of the plastic looks pretty decent. So the quick and dirty way of this is if you don't buy new plastic, and for a TTR it's a little bit difficult, your only options really are the Mayer plastic, which is not great, which is sad to say for an American company, but yeah, it's not good. I think they vacuum form their plastic instead of injection mold, and so you get some weird stuff with that. But take a utility knife. You can get this at any hardware store, even Target and Walmart. They go in a blade like this, and if you buy this is an HDX from I think it's Home Depot's line, but when you buy one of these things, and they're dirt cheap, I think this was like $3 or somewhere around that range, you get 3 extra blades, and they're decent blades actually. Anyway, I buy a bunch of those, so I always have these on hand. And you could use a square razor. This particular blade, everyone's seen this. But it's not as rigid, and these corners for some reason seem to gouge a lot more. Maybe because it's such a short distance compared to this. From here to here, I think gives you more control. Anyway, we're just going to scrape the material that's all feathered out. When you do the scraping, you don't want to scrape in line like this. You're just going to basically deepen the gouges. So what to do is you go at a right angle to the scratches. You can do back and forth. You can do one direction. I don't know which was best. The idea is you're trying to get rid of the bulk of these scratches, but in some cases you could actually make your own scratches. So try to minimize the amount that you're doing and only do what's necessary. But just go in one direction. You can see I'm starting to make little shavings from the plastic, and then there's some of the result that was on the blade. As you scrape, you can see it's just taking small amounts of material away, and you can see the plastic starts to become white again, and then the actual deep gouges become pretty clear where they're at. Now, it's not necessary to do this for a sticker. The idea is that you're going to want to eliminate any imperfections in the quality of your decal, and you'll see these ridges when you do the install. They'll look like bubbles or lines, and they actually get magnified. So it's pretty important, I think, for a quality installation, is to eliminate these scratches. As far as bonding goes, if it's in the field, it's not such a big deal. The outer edge is important. So if I'm in a rush and I'm just worried about the quality of the installation for longevity purposes, not necessarily aesthetics, then I will just make sure that this outer edge is clear. Sometimes going back and forth helps because it clears the blade. Be careful not to cut yourself. don't think that this part right here is going to go away. It actually, you turn it over. Let's see if I can illustrate it. There's a dimple. You can hear it clicking on it. Right there. So I can actually try pushing it out. But heat the plastic up enough. Put it on. Sometimes the plastic will go back to its original shape. Sometimes it just needs a little coaxing. So I'm going to get it nice and warm. Once it starts to get glossy, you know you've actually started to melt it. Maybe a little bit more. There's actually material missing in that hole. It's not just a dimple. There was something that gouged in addition to, and I've raised it up. Cool down real quick. Now we'll see if I can clear it. It's better. I'm essentially reshaping this plastic. So if you just go in one spot, you're going to make a flat spot. So as I'm going, I'm actually changing where I'm scraping so that I kind of take it down in a uniform, and to maintain the radius of the plastic and not create a flat spot that's going to look uglier than the big gouge. And if I wasn't doing this for camera, I would actually be doing this over the trash can, because as you can see, it makes a big mess, and you kind of defeat the purpose if you put these shavings underneath your graphic if you didn't catch all of them. And they kind of stick on the plastic. They're static. So after I'm done with this, I'm going to have to do some wipe down on the counter to make sure I don't have any of this residual shavings. It's feeling pretty good though. This is a really deep gouge. It's going to be hard to get it fully out without actually going through the plastic, I think. It's almost gone. There's a point where you just need to say, okay, that's enough. I'm going to try and get this out and then call it done. So as a final finish, I'm just going over and try and knock down some of those straight lines I made. This is not going to come out, but I don't feel it, so most likely if you don't feel it, you won't see it. What you don't want to do is sand the plastic. That just makes it worse, because then you have thousands of little scratches instead of one big gouge. So, alright, so when you're done with it and you've cleaned up all the shavings, remember to go back over it with some contact cleaner or acetone or MEK. Just make sure you're doing it in a ventilated area. If you don't have any of that, then I would say soap and water, warm water, soap, and then hopefully you at least have some rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. I use 91. I would imagine that the 70 or whatever it is that they have is adequate. Nail polish remover, that could work too as far as opening up the pores on the plastic or getting any major residue. You just got to be careful about some of these cleaners. They leave a residue that's worse than the dirt, so just be careful with what you're using. And I might hit that right there. This is a little bit tricky because you can't go this way or otherwise you're going to deepen them, and it's going to be hard to do this way because there's a curve that starts to come back up again, so it's almost like a one direction deal as far as scraping goes. I feel that this is adequately prepared for a graphic and that the results will be decent. It's always best to have new plastic, but when it's something like this where it's hard to get and your options are limited, you can restore it pretty well. So it's never going to be glossy again, but it's better. It's better than it was. Let's see what its brother looks like. Ooh. Yeah, that's going to be fun. There's a bunch of chunks here. And that is how you scrape clean a number plate.